It was a normal Tuesday evening when my mother called to announce that she, my father, and my sister, Iris, wanted to come over to my luxury penthouse for a celebratory weekend dinner. For years, I had been the family outcast, the 16-year-old girl who was handed a cheap bus pass for her birthday while Iris was surprised with a brand new car. I spent all of Saturday meticulously cooking a gourmet meal, naively hoping that my hard-earned professional success had finally earned me their respect. But the exact moment dinner ended, the atmosphere turned to ice. My father reached into his coat pocket, slid a thick, menacing legal folder across my glass dining table, and demanded that I immediately sign my home over to my sister. They expected me to pack my bags, hand Iris the keys, and continue paying the mortgage out of my own pocket. When I firmly refused, they didn't just walk away, they filed a fraudulent lawsuit to tear my life apart. What they didn't realize was that I had spent the last 10 years secretly collecting a mountain of forensic receipts that were about to expose their deepest, darkest secrets. Before I reveal the shocking financial crimes I uncovered during our legal war and how I brought my family to their knees, I have to ask, where are you watching this video from right now? Tell me your city or country down in the comments. I love reading where our community is tuning in from. Now, let me take you back to the night of the ambush. My name is Myrtle. Today, I sit alone in my penthouse, wrapped in a silence that feels incredibly heavy and deafening. The brutal courtroom battle with my own bloodline is finally over, but the emotional aftershocks still linger deeply in my chest. On the night they ambushed me, Iris had walked through my door glowing, proudly announcing that she was pregnant. I was genuinely thrilled for her, and we spent the first hour of the evening laughing and talking about baby names and nursery themes. But the warmth completely evaporated the moment my mother began calculatingly scanning my living room, sending a sharp, silent signal to my father. My father cleared his throat, his face hardening into a look of cold entitlement. "Myrtle," he said, "with the new baby arriving, we've decided it's best for the family if you let Iris have this penthouse. It is entirely selfish of you to hoard all this luxury and space when your sister is trying to build a family." Then came the real insult. Their attorney had already drafted a quitclaim deed. They expected me to legally surrender my title, vacate the premises, and dutifully fund Iris's lifestyle by paying off the remaining mortgage. I looked at the people who raised me and felt a profound sense of disgust. I had scraped and clawed for every single brick of this home. I flatly told them no. They instantly exploded into a venomous rage, calling me a cruel, ungrateful monster before storming out into the night. The days that followed were pure psychological torture. I was served with a formal, devastating legal complaint. My parents' attorney was aggressively pursuing a manufactured narrative, claiming the existence of an oral family trust agreement, and alleging that the money I used for my down payment was actually family capital. They were trying to legally steal my home. Simultaneously, they launched a vicious, calculated smear campaign across social media. Iris's ex-husband posted a viral, deeply distorted statement painting me as a heartless, wealthy elitist who was throwing her pregnant, helpless sister onto the cold streets. The comment sections flooded with thousands of strangers condemning my name. To make matters worse, my mother left a weeping voicemail, claiming my father was physically collapsing from the stress I was causing and that I would be solely responsible if the trauma caused Iris to lose the baby. I was driven to the absolute brink of despair. I felt entirely small, isolated, and helpless, trapped in the same familiar feelings of worthlessness I endured as a child. But as I sat on my floor on the verge of tears, my eyes caught a heavy black binder resting on my bookshelf. That binder was my ultimate shield. It contained a pristine, exhaustive collection of every paycheck, bank statement, tuition bill, and email I had ever processed. I started compiling it during my junior year of college, all thanks to a brilliant woman named Ms. Harper. Back then, she was my executive boss at a major logistics firm. One late Friday night, she found me hyperventilating over files, exhausting myself by working double shifts at a diner while carrying a full-time academic course load. She quietly handed me $20 for dinner, looked me dead in the eye, and delivered a piece of advice that changed my destiny. "Myrtle, people like you are targets. You need to protect yourself. Document absolutely everything. Track every single dollar that passes through your hands as if it were forensic evidence in a high-profile murder trial. From that definitive night onward, I became completely obsessed with documenting my life. And that obsession was about to save me. I retained a fiercely aggressive litigation attorney named Miss Diaz. The moment she reviewed the chronological perfection of my black binder, a confident grin spread across her face. "Myrtle," she laughed, "your family members are complete idiots. This alleged oral trust is a desperate fairy tale. You have a bulletproof paper trail." Miss Diaz immediately executed a devastating three-step counter-strategy. First, we filed an urgent motion for a declaratory judgment to legally solidify my absolute, sole ownership of the penthouse. Second, we slapped my family with a massive counterclaim for abuse of process, suing them directly for my skyrocketing legal fees, severe emotional distress, and public defamation. Third, we triggered the discovery phase, legally demanding total, unrestricted access to their personal financial records. When the bank disclosures finally landed on our desks, the sickening truth came to light. My parents weren't trying to help Iris, they were drowning in a swamp of their own making. My father had developed a catastrophic, hidden gambling addiction, systematically burning through over $200,000 of family capital in less than 5 years. The mortgage on their own suburban home was severely overdue, and Iris herself was suffocating under $68,000 of high-interest credit card debt alongside a freshly repossessed vehicle. They didn't want a nursery for a baby, they wanted to hijack my primary asset to bail themselves out of total financial ruin. We scheduled a mandatory settlement conference. When my family walked into the glass conference room, their arrogant bluster was completely gone. Their high-priced attorney looked entirely exhausted. My father tried to weakly bluster about having personal witnesses to back his oral agreement, but Miss Diaz calmly slid our discovery files across the table. The moment my father saw his secret casino bank statements laid out in plain view, the color completely drained from his face. Iris sat there in absolute horror, entirely blindsided by the reality of her parents' massive debts. I opened my black binder and presented our final, unnegotiable settlement terms. They were required to immediately withdraw the lawsuit with prejudice, formally acknowledge my sole ownership, and sign an ironclad non-disclosure and non-disparagement agreement. If they ever uttered my name or this case publicly again, we would instantly hit them with ruinous financial penalties and release their embarrassing financial records directly to the public registry. My father initially snarled and shook his head, but Miss Diaz leaned forward and whispered, "Sign the paper, Henry, or I will put you on a public witness stand under oath by Monday morning." He broke, trembling as he put ink to paper. My mother and sister followed, Iris hissing a final, desperate insult at me under her breath as she signed away her leverage. 6 months have passed since that day in the conference room. The initial relief has matured into an absolute, beautiful sense of freedom. My parents were recently forced to liquidate their remaining rental properties at a massive loss just to keep the bank from foreclosing on their home, and my father is now working part-time as an associate at a local hardware store. Iris packed her bags and relocated 2 states away. I recently refinanced my penthouse, securing an incredible interest rate, and used the extra liquid capital to establish a permanent, fully funded academic scholarship at my alma mater. I named it the Harper Foundation, designed exclusively to provide financial freedom to young students who are forced to work full-time jobs while maintaining their college education. A few weeks ago, a generic birthday card arrived from my mother with no mention of an apology. Hours later, an email from Iris popped up in my inbox, reading, "Hey sis, sorry things got so crazy back then. I'm really struggling this month, can you please help me cover my rent?" I took a deep breath, typed a final, calm response accepting her apology, explicitly denied her request for financial assistance, and permanently blocked her address. I have finally learned that defending the life you have built from the people who failed to protect you isn't being selfish, it is the ultimate act of self-respect. I kept the receipts, I stood my ground, and because of that, I kept my life. If you are out there right now, enduring toxic manipulation from the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally, please remember my story. Never back down, document your truth, and never be afraid to burn down a bridge that was built to trap you.